What, Karen?
Start our recording. All that. Quick caveat because I had an email about this. So it reminded me to remind everybody that summer registration started today at 8 o'clock. So, if you need to sign up for this class or other classes or swim classes for their grandkids or tennis for their grandkids or, whatever, not just yourself, but other people in the family, that is summer session opens today for registration. So, and somebody had some issues getting into the site, but I think for other reasons was having some difficulties. So I was trying to help some folks online get into the right slot. Vale, bueno, buenos días. Espero que ustedes estén bien. I hope you guys are well. Feliz lunes. Happy Monday. Happy Passover to those who celebrate that. I guess that starts today. So, anyway, we're going to work with kind of add in a lot of things to prepositions. We're going to talk about some prepositions also that don't have to do with place, but with time. And we're going to practice that very actively today. But I want to start with two things. One, one, I just want to see if, oops, and I changed the order of my tabs. So that's bad on me. Want to see first if you had any questions on the Agustina video about Marruecos, un recorrido, a tour. And, tour is a word that has kind of been adopted by many young people who speak Spanish into just grabbing that English word, tour, un tour. If you look up formal word recorrido, that is a tour, but tour, un tour. Sí, Cindy?
I thought that was good. It was slow enough to catch on, and a lot of words we're familiar with, things that we weren't familiar with, but her speed worked for me really well.
Yes.
It went well for me too.
Yes. And when you look at the title, Argentine Girl shows you around Morocco, it says beginner Spanish. That's where their little rating is. They say it's kind of hard to find the super beginner unless you sign up for the subscription, but they have a super beginner rating, a beginner rating, an intermediate rating, and an advanced rating. So,
No,
okay.
I don't know if this would be appropriate and what you would have thought, but I had the English subtitles as she talked, and it really went well for me. I thought I understood a lot.
Gracias, sí. So I want to show you two things for people who, and then Julie. Oh, Julie, sí.
What KS alpaca? Talked about
sí.
Alpaca, and I couldn't figure out.
Alpaca es el animal. Yeah, alpaca. As I know it as animal. That is a type of metal. I think it is an Argentine turn of phrase because when I tried to look it up, I was like, and I'm trying to remember if it is bronze. It's one of those things that's a mix of metals. Okay. I'll check that one more time. Es un tipo de metal. Sí. It's a term for a type of metal, but I think it is more an Argentine thing because I even had some difficulty looking through that. That was the one word, gracias, Julie, that I heard and I was like, alpaca, this serio, really? Serio? En serio? Are you sure? So, but I want to say, one of those mix of metals kind of terms, but I'll look it up more specific and send you an information on that, Julie. Gracias. The more important, but they were talking about metal. You could see from what she was showing. This is not the alpaca we know and love from South America, right?
Doesn't it have something to do with nickel?
It could be nickel. I always have, and I struggle. Mark would know. Mark with an engineering background would know more about that, but it might be nickel. Yeah. Okay. I want to show you a couple of things when you click on the CC boxes with YouTube. when you click on the CC box, it'll give you subtitles. But now sometimes I know some of you will want English subtitles. I really recommend you go with Spanish subtitles. Sometimes you also have to click on the little gears, which is a setting box, and click on subtitles, and then make sure you're clicked on Spanish. Okay. And I prefer you do that if you, actually, in terms of listening to videos, it's always a good idea to listen to these at least twice, sometimes 3 times. You might want to listen to it once with the English subtitles, but definitely the Spanish subtitles on is more beneficial. But you might need to click not only CC, but the gearbox and ask it Spanish. See, Julie.
When I watched this one, when I put the subtitles on, I got both Spanish and English, and I didn't want the English ones. Can you get
Yeah. That's where if you go to the gearbox and you hit
Gearbox?
subtitles, you can click on just Spanish
Okay.
and it'll do that. And she was speaking slowly enough. You don't need any playback speed. But again, this little settings box, which is a little gear looking icon, will take you to a number of options. So if you listen to YouTube for other input, do know there is a playback speed option on there where you can slow it down. With this,
Thank
it was
you.
totally unnecessary. But just where to find those little things. I have some people who are super computer savvy and they figure it out because they just play with it anyway. And other people who really are kind of befuddled and a little bit intimidated by all the buttons and
That's
all the
me.
icons.
That's
So,
me.
para que sepan. So you know.
Couch.
Vale. Hay otra pregunta. Is there any other question? The thing I really wanted you to notice was how many times she used that little preposition de to talk about what things were made out of. How many things de is used for? Not just debajo de, underneath, not just enfrente de, in front of, not just detrás de, behind, not just al lado de, next to, but de winds up being combined with prepositions and used a lot on its own. De is like this super little gremlin that goes in and changes all kinds of things, is used for all kinds of purposes in Spanish. It is one of the most flexible words that will combine with lots of other words for lots of functions. One of the functions that was highlighted a lot in this video was to talk about what things are made out of. Because she was showing us souvenir type items and food type items.
Sometimes don't you say day and then sometimes you say duh? You don't say day?
No, that's more, I think of more of a French thing. Yeah, no, de is always de. Now, because people are speaking kind of at normal rate, it may sound like it's combining with the next word, and that can happen. So
I found that when you had the female noun, it was de la. Now, what was it? But for a male, where you have
bien. Okay,
L.
so here's one of the little things with de, and we'll pop into a little box here because this is super easy for me to show you. They often combines with an article, meaning a the word. So de la, de los, de las. But if I have this, that is a no.
Yeah, that's when I don't understand that.
Okay, so here's what you may be hearing, and you may think it's an abbreviation, but well, it is kind of an abbreviation. This is one of the 2, there are only 2 in Spanish, contractions, what they're literally called a contraction. And our contractions have an apostrophe. In Spanish, they do not have an apostrophe. Okay, so whenever de and el are next to each other, and I'm going to say that's 99.9% of the time, it becomes this, del. And that is because the ends on the e sound and the next word next to it begins with that e sound also. So de and el becomes del.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's 99% of the time. And that, not even higher percentage, 99.9% of the time. There are a few times when you will hear the el and some kind of a proper noun. And then it gets separated, but that's like literally the 0.9%. You're hardly ever going to hear it. For your intents and purposes, this is the only functional thing that you are going to use, because you're going to hear this over and over again. So they and el next to each other get smashed together like trash compactor, and it gets shoved into one word. But de la separate, de los separate, de las separate. But del gets combined, okay? That's called a contraction. The other word that does that is a next to el becomes al. Okay, those are the two contractions in Spanish. Al, a combination of an el, because we don't keep them separate, and del, because we smash together de and el. Vale, bien, okay?
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank
De
you so
nada.
much. Yes.
De nada. Okay. Sometimes we always need little refreshers on these things. Okay. Entonces, hay otra pregunta. Is there any other question on anything she was talking about here that didn't make sense or kind of had a question on? But it was just a fun little tour and great for listening comprehension.
Yeah, I had one question. I just wanted to check that these are basically synonyms. Al lado and junta a.
Ah, bien, buena pregunta. Marcos, gracias. Qué buena pregunta. These kind of questions always show me that you guys are always thinking. Qué maravilloso. Synonyms. I gotta make sure I spell that right. See, that's just a fancy grammar word. That's a grammar police word, and it just means words that have the same or yeah, words that have the same meaning. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna.
she
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
junta a somewhere in the video, and I was just kind of comparing it with the
Junto
other
a
words we have.
is definitely equivalent to al lado de. They both mean next to. And I would say, you might say adjoining, but how often in English do you say adjoining? You say next to, right? Al lado de, junto a, next to. Those two are interchangeable. If you are you need to point something out to somebody in a store, and you say junto a o al lado de, they're equivalent. Somebody will totally know what you're talking about. Buena observación. Good observation. Sometimes we get these synonyms. Another preposition that you could look at as synonyms, just so that we kind of think about this, is enfrente de and delante de. Both mean in front of. And just like you might say in English, it's in front of this or it's facing this. And if something is facing, it's, in that position. You can pretty much interchangeably use enfrente de or delante de. And, which one will people use? Well, the one they feel like. Just kind of the way it goes, sadly. There's no other rule of thumb for that. Buena pregunta. Otra pregunta. Any other thing I should clean up with on this video before we move on? No? Okay. Vale. Bien. I do want to open with a fun little listening comprehension video, and this is going to be a walkthrough situation. And this has happened in my house. I'm sure it's happened in your house at some point or another. with kids, with older people, with everybody. They're going to show you, and I'm going to leave the subtitles on. And I'll give you the, I will give you the link for this video so you can watch it again later. This is going to be a walkthrough, a scenario, an example of them mixing a lot of prepositions. And these are prepositions of place, not the new time-related ones, but the prepositions of place. But it's a nice little scenario to show you a typical way that this will come into conversation.
Buenos días. Buenos días. No puedo encontrar mis llaves y
I can't find my keys. Oh, this has never happened to you. Claro que sí. Okay.
me tengo que ir. ¿Me ayudas a buscarlas?
And she said, me tengo que ir. I have to take off. I have to leave. So she's looking, that's why she's looking for the keys. She's got to get out. Me ayudas a buscarlas. Will you help me to find them? The las are referring back to llaves. This is just an object pronoun. The las refers to keys, meaning instead of saying find the keys, or, search for the keys, she's saying search for them. So the last word attached to buscar, which is this, yeah, look for, seek out, search, right? The las attached just means them, and it's referring to that feminine thing she talked about before, llaves, keys. Okay.
Claro.
Of course.
Hay
Jenny.
muchas cosas en la mesa.
There's a lot of stuff on the table.
¿Ya buscaste debajo de los papeles?
And she used the debajo de. And
Debajo de.
buscaste is the reason we're walking through is that this is a past. And she's saying, did you look? Did you look? Instead of, are you looking? Did you look? Ya buscaste. Did you already look? Debajo de los papeles. Did you already look underneath the papers? See?
Sí, pero por favor revisa tú.
Yeah, but please check it out. Revisa tú means, hey, you check it out. She's giving her a command. That's not revisas. Revisar is to check out, like go over something again. Yeah.
Visit.
Like review. You can see that.
Revisit.
Revisar. Revisit, sure. So when you tell somebody, would you do that again? It's revisar. Okay. Revisa tú. And she's giving her a command. Hey, please, you do it.
Es fácil no verlas.
Es fácil no verlas. It's easy not to see them. And again, she attached the las referring to llaves as the them word. Es fácil no verlas. It's easy not to see them. It's easy to miss them.
No, no están.
They're not there.
¿Revisaste en los bolsillos de tu chamarra?
And she used chamarra. La chamarra es chaqueta. Chamarra es una palabra más de México. ¿Sí? Chamarra es chaqueta. It's jacket. It's a jacket word. And bolsillos. Did you look in the pockets?
Sí, pero por favor revisa tú.
Hey, check it out again, please.
The refrigerator.
No, no están.
They're not there.
¿Revisaste en tu bolsa que está debajo de la mesa?
Hey, did you check out your purse? Está debajo de la mesa. Where is the purse? Debajo de la mesa.
Underneath the table.
Underneath the table. Did you look in your purse?
Sí, ya revisé también en mi bolsa,
Yep, I looked also in my purse.
pero no estoy segura si no las vi.
I'm not sure if I didn't see him there. Okay. Revisar is a good word for you to hear.
No están dentro de tu bolsa.
No están dentro de tu bolsa. They are not where?
Dentro. Inside of.
Inside of, dentro de. See, no están dentro de tu bolsa. They're not inside your purse.
El bolso.
And notice how dentro de, notice how that de word combines with a lot of these prepositions. When we say what it's inside of, it's dentro de, dentro de. And be advised, you may hear adentro de, you may, but dentro de is the little, shorter way to say that.
¿Ya revisaste debajo de los cojines del sofá?
Ah, bien. Cojines son cushions, throw pillows. See? ¿Ya revisaste? Did you already look? Where? Debajo de los cojines, del sofá.
Below,
Underneath the
underneath
pillows.
Under the
pillows.
Of the sofa.
sofa pillows, sofa cushions. Yeah, cojín is not really what you would use for a pillow you sleep on at night. Yeah, that's almohada. But cojines are the cushions, the nice fluffy
Oh.
throw pillows and cushions. And notice, not only do we have debajo de combining with debajo, because we're naming what they're underneath, but we also have to use de, and here comes the del, because it's el sofá. I know it looks like, shouldn't it be la sofá? Pero no, it's el sofá. It just is el sofá. But notice, del sofá, it tells you where those cojines, what they belong to, right?
Right, right.
They are the sofa cushions, right? Whereas we put a noun, the sofa cushions in English, it has to be cojines del sofá. We tell what item the cojines are attached to with de. So de has lots of functions.
Es una buena idea.
Ah, good idea.
Siempre encuentro cosas ahí.
I always find stuff there under the cushions. Yeah, see. Cojín.
Ay, son tus llaves.
Son mis llaves. Ay, gracias.
Oh, my keys. No son sus llaves. They're not her keys. Mis llaves, my keys.
Las voy a poner sobre la mesa.
Las voy a poner. Las, again, is talking back. It's saying, them I'm going to put. That's what she says. Them I'm going to put. Las voy a poner sobre la mesa. Sobre la mesa, I'm going to put them
On the table.
on the table,
On the
and
table.
sobre is on top of.
On top
Notice
of.
she could have, the options could have been encima de la mesa.
Encima
is-
de.
There's another synonym, sobre and encima, pretty much same thing. They are interchangeable in this. When it means on
Synonyms.
top of, and it's going to sit right on that surface, right? It's not arriba. Think of arriba as levitating. Arriba is above, meaning not
Right.
attached to it, right? But encima or sobre, or even just plain old en. All three of those work for on top of. Sobre la mesa.
Sobre la mesa.
Sí. Qué loco.
How crazy.
Tal vez se cayeron detrás de la televisión.
Cayeron, and they use some little past here, so you know, se cayeron means they fell down. Tal vez is maybe. Tal vez se cayeron, maybe they fell detrás de la televisión. It's not debajo de, it's detrás de. Behind, right. That little word tras, T-R-A-S, always means behind. It all, and sometimes it's expressed as atrás when it's movement. See, un paso atrás means a step behind. And the atrás kind of tells you, ooh, you're moving because you're taking a step. Un paso atrás. But detrás is behind and it's just stationary, yeah? Detrás de la televisión. And again, we had to combine de with detrás. Behind what? Behind this thing. When we're naming the thing that's
Detrás.
behind, it has to be de attaches to detrás. Detrás de la televisión.
Televisión.
Vamos a buscar.
Let's look.
No están aquí tampoco.
They're not here either.
¿Y si buscamos en la cocina?
And y si buscamos is a nice little chunk for you to know. Y si buscamos is like saying, and it looks like, and if we look in the kitchen, but you're never going to say it that way in English, but that is the way they say it in Spanish. Y si buscamos is like if we were to say, how about if we? Y si tomamos un café, how about if we have a coffee? See? Y si buscamos en la cocina, how about if we look in the kitchen? Y si buscamos is a little chunk of words, and that buscamos can be any other verb, right? It means you're suggesting, how about if we do this? Yeah, it's framed as a question. Y si with a verb is how about if we?
Es una buena idea. Vamos a buscar.
Good idea. Let's look. Go look. Hey, linda cocina. What a nice kitchen.
Exactly.
No están al lado de la fruta.
Here's al lado de. No están al lado de la fruta. They're not
Next to.
next to the fruit. And she could have said junto a, next to, right? Junto a is a little more adjoining, but you know, al lado de is great. Al lado de is super típico.
Tampoco en el cajón de los cubiertos.
Tampoco means not there, not either. Cajón is a drawer. Cubiertos looks like cover, because cubrir means to cover, but cubiertos is the term for silverware in general, all the silverware. The knives, the forks, the spoons, all your little utility things. So cajón de los cubiertos would be your silverware drawer. Tampoco en, and we don't have a verb here because it's kind of a fragment, yeah? Not and, but the missing verb would be están, yeah? Tampoco están, yeah? But she just dropped the verb there. We do that. Not here either, not here either. Tampoco en el cajón de cubiertos, not in the silverware drawer either.
Tampoco están sobre la estufa.
Tampoco están sobre la estufa. They're not sobre.
On top of the stove.
On top of the stove. Estufa
top of
is
the
stove. They're not on
Estufa.
top of the stove. Espero que no. Wow, I hope not.
Ni tampoco a un lado del microondas.
Tampoco a un lado. They're not next to the microwave. And the ni again is just a negating word, not either. Yeah, ni is not either.
¿Revisaste encima del refrigerador?
Y revisaste. And did you check again? Did you look again? Where? ¿Dónde? Encima
On
del
top of-
refrigerador?
Encima del. On top of the refrigerator.
On top of the fridge.
Aún no. ¿Me ayudas
Not yet.
a revisar?
Claro.
Help me look.
No, no están encima del
They're not on top
refrigerador.
of the fridge.
¿Y dentro del refrigerador?
Y dentro, yeah. I know.
Y dentro de, and inside the fridge,
Tal
Dentro
vez
de.
maybe.
porque traía unas bolsas de comida cuando llegué.
And there she's saying, because I was bringing some food bags in when I arrived, when I got home. So yeah, if it's in your hands and you just stuck the bags in, okay, maybe. And she used some past there. That's why we're kind of explaining this. Because I was bringing in some food bags when I came into the room.
No.
Mm, ¿Ya revisaste en tu cuarto?
Did you look in your room?
Sí, varias veces,
A few times.
pero no las encontré.
I didn't find them. No las encontré. No, them I didn't find. In Spanish, you'll hear these little las or los words, and here they don't mean the las or the los, the. Here they are object pronouns. Again, the las keep referring back to llaves, so we don't have to repeat the word llaves, keys. So, whereas in English we say, I didn't find them. In Spanish, they flip the them to in front of the verb. Them I didn't find. No las encontré. No, them I didn't find. No las encontré.
Tienen que estar aquí
They have to be here
porque abrí la puerta cuando llegué anoche.
because I opened the door when I got home, when I came in, when I arrived last night.
Dices que tenías las manos ocupadas.
You said you had your hands busy, but we wouldn't say hands busy. We would say your hands were full. Okay. Tenías las manos ocupadas, and that tenías is just the past of tener. Dices que, you say that, you tell me that you had your hands full. Cuando entraste, when you came in, right?
Cuando entraste, ¿verdad?
Sí, sí.
¿Y no están en la puerta?
Aren't they in the door? Maybe they could be in the door.
No creo,
I don't think
pero no
so,
sé.
but I don't know.
Voy a revisar.
I'll go check.
Revisar, revisar.
Sí. Es la pista
Sí,
mágica. It's the magic.
aquí están.
Aha! Yep.
Huh.
Here they are. Aquí están.
Ya me tengo que ir. Gracias.
I gotta get out of here. Ya me tengo que ir. And me tengo que ir is using irse, meaning to take off. I gotta get out of here. I gotta leave. Yeah, de nada bye. Oh, de nada bye. There's a little, well, these things bleed over and they're young gals. So yeah, así es. Bueno, okay. I'll give you the little link for that. It's a nice little blurb that helps you to check out how in a typical conversation, when people are searching for things, they'll use a bunch of different prepositions, and those are all prepositions of place. Yeah, see? Bien. So, we're going to kind of shift gears and look more at a different way that prepositions are used, because prepositions have many jobs. Yeah. And okay, so pretty soon we're going to do that, but we're going to combine it with another vocabulary thing. Yay. Here's our little momento. Here's our little mini lesson. It's going to be a mini lesson because these are vocabulary things, and some of these words you will know. Some may be new to you, but these are going to be words that talk about frequency. So we're going to combine some new vocab with frequency to our prepositions.
En español. Hola, siempre te veo por aquí. ¿Cómo te llamas? Me llamo Beatriz. Vengo todos los días a la playa.
Siempre, always, todos los días, every day.
Normalmente vengo en la mañana y en ocasiones
Normalmente. I'm trying to see how can I get my little. Trying to get my subtitles to click off here. Pero no. No.
vengo en la tarde. ¿Tú también? Yo casi siempre vengo.
Casi siempre. Siempre is always. Casi siempre is almost always. So we're going to combine these with some lessons we have. Casi siempre, almost always. And I'm sorry, we've got that blocking.
Vengo en la mañana a pasear a mi perro. A veces vengo en la noche.
A veces, sometimes, a veces. And that literally means at times. It takes the word vez, V-E-Z, and makes it veces, times, a veces, at times. But we would say sometimes, a veces.
Pero nunca vengo en la tarde porque trabajo.
Nunca vengo en la tarde. I never come in the afternoon. Nunca is never. Nunca is never, okay.
Yo rara vez vengo en la noche.
Rara vez or raramente is rarely, meaning not frequently, not often.
Porque me gusta.
Yeah, if you want to say not often, raramente or rara vez, yeah. We can't say no siempre, not always. You don't hear that, but rara vez or raramente.
Me gusta dormir temprano. ¿Te gustaría tomar un café algún día? Jamás tomo café.
Jamás is an equivalent for nunca. Jamás is a nice equivalent for nunca. It means never.
Me deja nerviosa. Pero podemos tomar una cerveza. De acuerdo. Generalmente no veo.
Generalmente, generally. And you may hear generalmente for frequency. Generalmente is generally, but generalmente may be split into the three words. Por lo general. Por lo general is the same thing as generalmente. I think actually it's a little more common than generalmente. Por lo general kind of flows off the tongue and you hear it a
Bebo
lot.
cerveza. Pero una cerveza de vez en cuando.
De vez en cuando. This is a great frequency word chunk. De vez en cuando. From time and when. And it does not mean from time and when because that makes no sense in English. De vez en cuando is the chunk they use to say from time to time. Yeah. From time to time. And that means sometimes yes and sometimes not, right? From time to time means kind of like saying on and off. Yeah. Okay. So de vez en cuando is less than siempre. De vez en cuando is even less than casi siempre, almost always. So we got siempre, always, casi siempre, almost always, de vez en cuando, from time to time, generalmente, generally, yeah, por lo general, rara vez, raramente, rarely. And then we've got from the gradation of siempre, always, we get to the very bottom of the list is nunca, never. And nunca has a synonym, a word that is interchangeable. It means the same thing. Instead of saying nunca, someone may use jamás. That's J-A-M, A accent, S. Jamás. Jamás, I think nuanced is a little more emphatic than nunca. I don't know how else to describe that, but they really are interchangeable. Jamás. Jamás is almost like putting a period to it, like never. Yeah. Being super emphatic, but they are interchangeable. Nunca y jamás.
Cuando no hace daño. ¿Qué?
Okay, so I'll send you the little link to that and you won't have my little subtitles flipping over that. But yeah, you know, some of those frequency words are super helpful to know. We're going to use kind of combine a few of those soon. We're going to take a look at the idea of using some prepositions now that do not talk about position in space. We're going to talk about a couple of things that I gave you some short videos to watch. And these are talking about time or other things. I know that's not very helpful, but antes means before. But quite often you're going to hear it as antes de. And then we've got some kind of action with that. Okay. Before leaving, before brushing my teeth, before drinking my coffee. Yeah. Antes de. You may hear it just as antes. Here's how you may hear antes alone without that word de. And I'll have to use some past tense here, so forgive me for doing that to you. Antes, I'll put in my pronoun here so you know who I'm referring to. Yo manejaba un carro japonés. Before, I used to drive a Japanese car. And that antes means beforehand. I used to do this. Antes yo manejaba un carro japonés. Ahora manejo un carro estadounidense. Now I drive an American car. So you may hear antes used by itself. And it's more like saying beforehand or before, pause, before I used to drive. Yeah. But quite often you're going to hear it as antes de. Yeah. Antes de is going to need an infinitive. Okay. And this is like saying before doing something, and that doing is going to change into whatever verb you're doing. Yeah. So if you want to use before to say the idea of before walking the dog, before brushing my teeth, before signing a check, you have to do blah, 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 blah. Yeah. When you have this chunk of saying before doing something, and the idea you would use in English is doing, you're not going to use an ing structure in ando yendo. It's going to be antes de with an infinitive. So it'll be something like this. Antes de pasear al perro. Before walking the dog. And then you talk about what you're doing, yeah? So, antes de pasear al perro, toma su correa. Before walking the dog, take his leash. Yeah. And notice this verb becomes a conjugated verb of some type, but here we don't conjugate it. Antes de pasear, before walking the dog. Antes de pasear. So antes often combines with de, and if what you mean in English is before doing something, it's got to be in that kind of structure, that kind of setting. Antes de and an infinitive. And you can plug any infinitive in, which is really, really nice because you're not conjugating anything there, are you? The little rule is after a preposition, and this means any preposition, this is a rule in Spanish, and it's 100% rule. If a verb structure is immediately following a preposition, and that preposition is de, if a verb structure is following right next to a preposition, the that verb action word can only be an infinitive. You can only have an infinitive. That means an AR or an ER or an IR, that base infinitive verb form. I do not conjugate it. Okay. So it has to be that infinitive is right up next to the de. All right. There's no word in between them. Okay. A ver. Another word this happens with a lot is después, which just means after words. Yeah. But you may hear it very likely as después de. And again, when I make it as después de, infinitive is what's going to have to follow, because again, when de sidles right up next to a verb form, that verb form has to be an infinitive. It's just the rule of how they do that in Spanish. It's just the way it doesn't make any. You could ask me, why did they do that? It just is. Okay. So it's one of those things we have to accept. This is the way their structure works, right? They do not have the ing idea like we do in English. All right. So instead of antes de, before, después de is, of course, after. So it's after doing something, right? And that'll have to be an infinitive. So, how might you use that? You might say después de pasear al perro. Ah, relájate. After walking the dog, relax, chill out. Yeah? Okay.
They
Yeah?
don't have chill out though, right?
No, there are different ways you might say chill out. Relájate is one. Tranquilo, tranquilo is another one, just tranquilo. Tranquil, calm. Cálmate is another way, although cálmate kind of means, wow, somebody's really agitated. Yeah. Bien. Okay. So one little thing I want to show you is that, let me create some space here. Un espacio. Antes de pasear al perro. Antes de pasear can lead off the sentence. But you can also flip the order, and it means the same thing, but it is permissible to flip the order. And that's just because they feel like saying that way. And, we kind of do the same thing in English. So somebody may also say this exact same idea as toma su correa antes de pasear al perro. Hey, take his leash before walking the dog. Before walking the dog, take his leash, right? We can flip those phrases. We can flip the order of those phrases in English, and it makes no difference. You can flip the order of these phrases in Spanish, and it makes no difference. So we do that in English. They do that in Spanish. Same thing. Yeah. So, okay. So the one thing I want you to get used to is that certain phrase combinations often take an infinitive, and we'll practice that, okay, in a bit. Antes de is one of those. Antes de with an infinitive, después de with an infinitive. And the other thing I had in a little video for you was this word para. And para, if you look it up in a dictionary, means for, but it kind of means more than that. It can also mean in order to. And that's how we're going to be looking at that today. But just like antes de plus infinitive, después de plus infinitive, para, if we combine it with a verb, will be an infinitive. Because just like you've got de right next to a verb, de right up next to a verb, para, which is also a preposition, yeah, when it pairs up right next to a verb, it'll have to be an infinitive form. Okay, and you had a shorter video on that to watch this week, right? And here's how you will typically hear this. Para empezar, toma, toma una cuchara de café. To start, take a teaspoon of coffee. I mean, maybe vainilla. Take a teaspoon of vanilla, see? Una cucharada, see? Cuchara. Para empezar, to start, right? Or it might be buried in a different order towards the end, see? It might be usamos la calculadora para calcular los impuestos. I know you probably do your taxes with more than a calculator, but usamos la calculadora. We use the calculator para calcular los impuestos. See? So, para calcular, in order to calculate, in order to. When we mean in order to, we often use, or you will often hear this word para, and it'll usually be combined with para with an infinitive. Okay, so that was in the little video. But the big idea to take away from that is that whenever we combine an activity, an action word right after a preposition like para, right after a preposition like de, right after any preposition, that verb will have to be an infinitive form. It's just a thing they do in Spanish. So it's not the same kind of structure always that we use in English. So, okay, bien. Vamos a practicar un poquito. Let's practice this a little bit. And here, I don't think we've got the para. We've just got antes de and después de. And I will send this to in your after class email as well. So don't feel you have to wildly scribble down things. You do not have to wildly write or wildly take notes. Okay. That's too much. Es demasiado. Okay. We're going to look at these two with this little activity here. Antes de plus infinitive, después de plus infinitive. We're going to use it kind of, actually, I think I'm going to, kind of done a juxtaposition here. I'm going to kind of change how I've positioned these, but that's okay. Okay. A ver. Let's take a look at these two. Siempre me cepillo los dientes. Me cepillo los dientes. Here's a part that has to get conjugated. Oh, and we've got a frequency word. Siempre, always. Siempre me cepillo los dientes. Siempre me cepillo los dientes después de. What might you add here. You have to fill it in. Siempre me cepillo los
Comer.
Beber café.
después de beber café. That is one idea we might put in there. Después de beber café, después de tomar café. Same idea. Synonyms. Beber, tomar, same thing. Okay, what other ideas might you plug in there? Siempre me cepillo los dientes.
Comer.
Después de comer. ¿Sí? Después de comer. You could get more specific. Después de comer ajo, after eating garlic. Después de sí, lo que sea. Or you can just stop it at comer. Después de comer. Okay. Bien. Fantástico. But notice, después de beber, después de tomar un café, después de comer. Aquí. A veces me duermo después de. A veces, here's a frequency. Sometimes. Not siempre, always, but sometimes. A veces me duermo después de
Almorzar.
almorzar. Ooh, that afternoon lag. Sometimes I fall asleep after eating lunch. Me duermo, I fall asleep. A veces me duermo después de almorzar. A veces me duermo después de
Ver la televisión.
ver la televisión. Muy común. That is super common. A veces me duermo después de
Tomar una cerveza.
tomar una cerveza. Sometimes I fall asleep after having a beer. A veces me duermo después de
Caminar.
caminar. Oh, caminar after walking. Sí. A veces me duermo después de algo difícil. I'm going to put a hard one in here. Escuchar a mi suegra. Listening to my mother-in-law. That joke of the day. Después de escuchar a una persona que habla mucho. Uy, ay, 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 ay. Ok, bueno. Después de. A veces me duermo después de
Leer.
leer. Después
libro.
de leer. Sí, durante la noche especialmente. Sí. Ok. Vale. Bien. Bien. Ok. A ver. Lots of ideas there. I'm going to want to send you out into breakout rooms, although I'm going to split this up a little bit. I'm altering what I had done beforehand because I want to show you something different later on. And I don't want to confuse people. I want people to stick with the same ideas. You're going to be plugging in just an infinitive. See, bien, and perdón, excuse me, I am altering some things before I send you out with this so that you have a consistent pattern to follow. Okay. Vale, perfecto. Vamos a ver. I will show you the other ones you're going to be working on with some buddies. Uno, dos, tres. You're going to have 3 of these to work on. I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller so that you can see these nice examples on the screen as you work. Yeah, you've got lots of examples to look at so you know what pattern to follow. But notice I've got some different frequency words here. A veces, sometimes, siempre, always, casi siempre, almost always, and muchas veces, many times. Often, muchas veces, often. Okay, so we have some frequency vocab blended in with this. But you've got your examples. A veces me duermo después de almorzar, después de ver la televisión, después de tomar una cerveza, después de caminar. What you're going to be working in are 3 new ideas, and there's no one correct answer or many possible correct answers. Siempre desayuno antes de. I always eat breakfast before. Antes de, before. Siempre desayuno antes de. I always eat breakfast before. Casi siempre tomo un poco de efectivo antes de. I always take a little bit of cash. Un poco de efectivo means a little bit of cash, meaning actual money, not a card, yeah? Casi siempre tomo un poco efectivo antes de. And then we've got a después de. Muchas veces darles de comer a mis mascotas después de. Many times I feed, darles de comer is the feed part. Give them to eat, yeah. Muchas veces darles de comer a mis mascotas después de. Many times I feed my pets after. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so you're going to have to insert something like you did in the top part, yeah, in the new examples, in your breakout rooms. ¿Entienden? Understand? See? And I will send that screen to you in your breakout rooms. A ver. Just altering this a little bit. Perdónenme. Okay. Bien. Bien. Okay. Vale. You should see a share button, and I'm going to put the screen into your rooms for you now. Bien. Okay. Vale. ¿Cuántos minutos? 5, 6 minutos, más o menos. Quizás 7, maybe 7 minutes. We'll give people some time to play around with that. Vamos a ver. Casi llegó la hora. Oh, the time's almost come here. Let's put a little message in so people kind of start to tie up their loose ends. Tell it to close rooms so that we bring people back. Vale, muy bien. Okay. Oh, and your message had antes de. Wow, sí, antes de regresar, before coming back.
Did you know that once you tell us we've got 1 minute, we can't see the script anymore? So we forgot what it was.
I'm sorry, you can't.
Once you've given us the 1 minute warning, we no
Yes.
longer have the words up there. So
Oh, it took it off automatically?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
okay.
if we could remember it.
Yeah, I give it, yeah, okay. I guess I should not assume because, you know, when you assume. Gracias. Gracias, Julie. Thank you.
We had the same thing happen. We didn't have
Okay.
the third one written down.
And then didn't have it. Yeah, sí. Okay. Muchas gracias. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. Bien. Bueno, vamos a ver. Let's take a look at, I want to hear some of your examples to share. Siempre desayuno antes de
Caminar.
Caminar, before walking. Bien. Siempre desayuno. I always have breakfast antes de.
Ver mi email.
Bueno, sí,
sí.
antes de ver mi email, before looking at my email. Bien, buena idea. Siempre desayuno antes de.
Leer mi periódico.
Bien, leer mi periódico, reading my newspaper. Perfecto. Siempre desayuno antes de.
Ir a la escuela.
Bien, sí. Otra idea, and you see multiple, just all kinds of things you can do with that, right? Sí, siempre desayuno antes de.
¿De la clase?
Siempre desayuno antes de la clase. That works before, but we don't have a verb there. So,
Yes.
but is that also, does that make sense to somebody? Well, of course it does. It's just a different way. I'm sorry, I'm not taking myself off of screen on purpose. Some wire just decided to go weird on me. So bear with me here that you can't see me. Okay, but it still makes sense, right? It still makes sense. It's just not using the verb. Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
right. My classmates were.
siempre here's what you could do. Here's what you can add to use that verb thing here. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Siempre, and still with that idea of clase. Siempre desayuno antes de ir a la clase. Antes de ir a la clase. And that's just adding the verb idea back in. But, you know, yeah. Sí, bien. Okay. Tranquilo, tranquila, tranquila.
Here's where we could use the verb for to zoom into.
Sí, antes de, Sí, antes de unirme a Zoom, before joining Zoom, así, like that. Bien. Ok. Vale, bueno. Ok. El segundo ejemplo aquí. Casi siempre tomo un poco de efectivo. I always take a little bit of cash. Antes de
viajar.
Antes de viajar, bien, before traveling. Siempre tomo un poco de efectivo antes de
salir con amigos.
Antes de salir con amigos, perfecto, Nanita. Sí, antes de salir con amigos. Before going out with friends. Siempre tomo un poco de efectivo.
Antes de ir a la tienda.
Antes de ir a la tienda, before going to the store. Muy lógico, very logical. Me gusta, I like it. Otro ejemplo.
Antes de salir de mi casa.
Antes de salir de mi casa, before leaving my house. Sí. Ok. Bien, perfecto. A ver, ok. Y aquí tenemos después, perdón, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just thought of,
Okay.
we were going to ask, ir a las películas.
Go to the movies?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And instead of películas, we're gonna plug in a slightly different word, and that will be cine. Antes de ir al cine. Antes de ir al cine. ¿Sí? Bien. Película is the actual film. Okay. And
right.
cine is the place where, and if you're talking about going to the movies, right? You're going into the movie theater. Yeah. We need that little slightly different word, al cine. And there we got a contraction, al. Antes de ir al cine. We never would say a el cine. Al cine.
Right.
Bien.
Al cine. Antes, antes de al cine.
Antes de ir al cine. Before going.
All right.
Sí.
Thank you.
Ok. De nada. Muy bien. Vale. Bueno, y aquí después de, after. The opposite of antes de is después de. Muchas veces darles de comer, I feed those pets después de.
Llegar a casa.
Después de llegar a casa, after getting home. Eso sí, perfecto. ¿Qué más?
Marilyn, Mark and I had a question about that. Could we say that we would feed them after walking them and use the word caminarlas?
Buena pregunta. Caminar con ellas, walking with them, or pasearlas. Yeah, pasear is more like stroll, and pasear is more frequently used to say walking your dog, because you're strolling along with them. I can't give you a real reason for why that's used that way, but pasear is generally used for walking your pet.
Then could you put the los at the end of that verb?
Sure, you can. See, you got a couple of them.
Could you put it in front of it?
No.
No. Okay.
Not in front of the pasear. No, it will have to be tagged on. There we have to tag it on. Pasearlos, walking them.
Okay.
And I should have probably made mascota singular, but that's okay. Some people have more than one pet, right? More than one doggy. So, okay, yeah, that has to get tagged on to the pasear.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't have pasear conjugated, the only choice I have is to tag that them word onto the end of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Sometimes you get a choice with Spanish of where the things get tagged on, but there you don't get a choice. Bueno, hay otra idea. Muchas veces darles de comer a mis mascotas después de...
Ir a la escuela.
Otra vez, again, por favor.
Ir a la escuela.
Escuela.
Going,
Ir, going.
after going to school.
Ir a la escuela.
escuela.
Sí, después de ir a la escuela. Ok, bien, sí. ¿Sí? Vale, bien. Después de... después de levantarme, after getting up. Any of you feed your pets after getting up? Después de levantarme, before getting up. Después de despertarme, before waking up. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Okay.
Vale, perfecto. Okay, so you have lots of examples there. I'm going to try to get my, wow, yeah, boy, I couldn't get my button back.
There you go.
Perdón, sorry about that. When I have the share up, I couldn't see my button to bring my face back in. Bien. Okay. A ver. We're going to not really switch gears, but we're going to add one little thing on, and that one little thing is going to be para. It's going to be the para because we did some practice with antes de and some practice with después de. So now we're going to do some practice with para. And remember, para has many definitions. So I'm going to pull this up while I'm typing this in. I'm actually kind of going on the fly here because kind of switched my idea of how I'm presenting this. I think this is making more sense. Okay, para, literally, when you look it up, the first definition they will give you is for, but do keep in mind that we are going to be using it with the idea of in order to. And sometimes in English, even we cut that down to just to, boom, 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 to do something. Okay, so when I have this combination again, I need an infinitive. I do not conjugate it. Okay, so we're going to see if you can come up with some examples. These are going to be just like the examples you did before. We're just going to be adding in a different word, para. Okay. Entonces, leo el periódico para, and you're going to fill in the idea. ¿Sí? ¿Está bien? I want you to know that you can flip the order of these and it still often works. So I'm going to put a flip the order, fill in the blank for you to do. Para para veo las noticias en la tele. ¿Sí? Escucho música para. ¿Sí? Boom. Bien. You're going to add in an idea. Here, aquí. Y 4 ejemplos, ¿sí? Pam, 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 pam. Paso por el súper. I'm going to stop by the supermarket. Para. Sí. And that paso por means I'll stop by, meaning you're going to do it soon. Yeah, that would be the implication there. Bien, okay. Es bastante. That's enough. Es suficiente. Es suficiente. Okay. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. You've got 4 incidences, and in one, I kind of inverted the order, but you're going to fill in an idea, but you've got to keep it as an infinitive. And here, I think I just need to give you about 5 minutes, 5 minutos, creo, sí, creo que sí. Bien, okay. And I will send these into the room for you. So once you hit your join button, you will see that. Bien, perfecto. Okay. Perfect. And we'll finish up with that. Make sure everybody's got a partner. Yes, everybody has a partner. Perfecto. Dos minutos más. Okay. Casi listos, casi listos. We're almost ready. And we're going to close down the rooms. It'll give everybody a countdown. And let them know that they need to finish up. Ok, está bien. Muy bien, muy bien. A ver, sí. Vale, perfecto. Y esperamos a los demás. We're waiting for everybody else. I'm
Same
sure
problem.
that
Are you able to control that or not? To make leave the script up at that last minute? Or is it just us that's having that problem?
Oh, I'm sorry. So what was the problem?
Whether you are able to control the fact that the questions disappear in the last minute.
Oh, I had, did they still disappear?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
still disappeared. Okay.
So if you don't have a good memory.
Yeah, actually, there's another one where I hit a stop share, and I thought if I didn't hit the stop share button, it would stay there, but okay, it still went away. No
Yeah.
sé. Don't know. Lo
Well,
siento.
seems-
Sorry. Okay. Let's do a little follow-up here. Just see what kind of examples you had. We're just trying to show you the power of how a lot of these prepositions combine in different ways. Instead of talking about space, this is combining these with verbs and also talking about time and all those other things. So, okay, por ejemplo, leo el periódico para
Recibir las noticias.
recibir las noticias. Perfecto.
The right
Sí.
verb? Is that the correct verb for getting?
Recibir, getting the news.
Okay.
Sí. Obtener las noticias. You could also use, I'm going to add a kind of a colloquial one here for you. Ponerme al tanto. Getting up to speed.
Well, that's good.
Ponerme, sí. There are different ways of talking about that, but
Yeah.
para saber. Para saber, sí, para saber información, para saber las noticias, sí, para saber los resultados de béisbol.
Okay, I
know
was
the-
gonna
the-
ask you about that word.
Ah,
'Cause when I looked up the score,
sí.
what came back was puntaje.
Puntaje also works, sí, sí, puntaje, sí. Resultados would just mean the scores too, but puntaje is a great word. Puntaje is a little more specific. Puntaje, you kind of, puntos are points, yeah? So puntaje would be the scores. That's a great word. Es buena palabra. Okay. Bien. Okay. And I'm going to try to kind of hasten this up a little bit because we're getting close to our time. I wanted you to see that you can flip the order, right? You can lead off with para, and it still makes sense. Para, veo las noticias, para.
Could we ask a question on this one?
Sí, sí.
So Karen and I were kind of mulling on this, and we in English, we casually use the word to check on something. But when I looked again, I didn't really know what to use. So I looked up, to check, and back what came was verificar, which sounds more like to verify or to, like to grade something rather than just to sort of get the
Sí.
info.
Sí. Okay. Sí. Hay varias ideas que podemos usar. There are various things we could say. Para verificar. Oh, we're going to go back to a little word you heard in that Looking for the Keys video. Para revisar los eventos del día. Para revisar. Revisar is another great word for checkout.
How about something para something el tiempo, to check the weather?
Para revisar el tiempo. ¿Sí? Para revisar el pronóstico. Pronóstico is como forecast, and that would already encompass with it the idea of weather. Pronóstico is always what people talk about with the weather forecast. And we have to have weather forecast, but pronóstico kind of says it all with Spanish. Para revisar o saber o entender el pronóstico, ¿sí? Para entender lo que pasó, para entender lo que pasó, to understand what happened. Okay, so this one was a little bit more complicated, but okay. A ver, sí, escucho música para
Relajar.
relajarme, sí, relajarme, relax, sí.
Do you have to have the may at the end?
A little better to have the relajarme because I'm doing the relaxing.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I'm doing it to myself. Para
What was that again? You have to put what in because you're doing it for yourself?
the little me pronoun.
Me.
It'll be like a little hangnail hanging off the end of that. Relajarme. And another verb that'll do that is something like this. Para divertirme. Divertirme, to have a good time. Para divertirme. Escucho música para divertirme, ¿sí? Bueno, sí. Okay. Y por fin, because I'm going a little bit over time. Paso por el súper para. I'll go by the store to.
Comprar la comida.
Sí. Sí. Escoger comida. Tomar comida, comprar comida, comprar ingredientes. Sí. Para ver lo que está en oferta, to see what's on sale. Así. Sí. Ok. Bien. Vale. Pero entienden, but you get the idea. This para also works. So I will send this whole little structure out to you so you can see what we worked on. This will go out with the email for the class, the email class summation. All the links for all the little videos will be with that. And we'll send out this little exercise so that you can maybe fiddle with it a little bit more or see what other ideas you can come up with. See? Bien?
Bien.
You will have a different listening video and you're going to have, we're going to look a little bit next week at different uses of de, how certain prepositions get combined with certain verbs at times. Okay, so we will have kind of a grammar related video and a story related video, but they are two different things, right? One just for listening and getting more input, and one for something we'll actually be practicing a little bit more next week. ¿Todo bien? All good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Está bien.
Perfecto.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias por participar. Thank you for participating. Sí. Y
Sí.
espero
De
que,
nada.
espero que tengan muy buena semana.
Ciao.
I hope you all have a good week. Espero que tengan muy buena semana, sí. Y feliz lunes, happy Monday. Y todo eso, sí. Y nos
Chao.
vemos más tarde.
Igual,
Chao.
igual.
Adiós.
Chao.
Hasta luego.
Sí, sí. Perfecto.